Kick back.
It's your life radio show.
Scientist.
With Dr. James J.C. Cooley. It's your life radio show. Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Kick back.
Radio show.
Check it out. It's Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Hey, let's go. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
For exceptions.
Correspondent Jeremy
welcome to
House
the James
reporting.
Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I tell you what, we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. We got this guest has been on a few times, and she's back on again, sharing her knowledge and wisdom, and I'm excited about this guest today, Michelle.
Oh yeah, most definitely. She's a wealth of wisdom. I mean, and we can talk to you a little bit more about her.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about something that been bothering me. I'm talking about as it relate to relationships between a father and daughter, a father and son,
Parents and their children.
Yeah. So because sometimes there is a wedge that's there, and we're going to talk about that one today.
Taking care of your health care.
So what are your thoughts, Michelle?
I mean, I think it's a topic that, a lot of people, a lot of parents and children, it's very common. It's very common. I mean, every situation is different. Every conflict is different and the source. But, we're going to have this guest on the show today. He's going to talk about some things that, might be beneficial to both parties to resolve that conflict. So we cannot wait.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, let's bring the radio in, and we're going to get started in about 1 minute, and we're going to do it.
And every guest over the last 10 years, and it's commercial free. You can even share your favorite segments with your friends. Plus, you'll get email from Alan Estrin that I receive every night about the most important issues to read about. Pragertopia Unlimited members can also listen.
Well, I guess they're not ready yet. Yeah, they should be ready shortly, but this is going to be an interesting show. So I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Year and get a free
starting in 10 seconds, James.
All righty.
Pragertopia Unlimited. Go to pragertopia.com or click the banner at dennisprager.com.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Wow, we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. Got this very good friend of mine that is so wise. I'm talking about, I think she know a little bit about everything. She's a child psychiatrist, and wow, one of the best in the business. And we're going to talk about a topic that many families have, or at least parents and their children or child. And I think this needs to be talked about, but I'm not going to give that thunder away. I'm going to let Michelle talk about that. How you doing, Dr. Cooley?
I'm doing great, James. We love having this guest on the show, and this is a very serious topic, actually. So no, we won't be having all these boxes of popcorn like we normally do in other shows, but
You're gonna
this
make
is,
Todd mad. You're gonna make Todd mad.
well, it depends on the topic. This is very serious, and on both ends, a parent and their child, whether it's a small child or adult child. I mean, it could be parents who in their 90s, children in their 70s. It's an all-around topic. So we're really excited to hear what this guest has to say about it.
So whichever platform that you're watching us on or listening to us on, all you have to do is go to the comments on whichever platform that you're watching us on and ask any questions that you might have, or you could pick up the phone, dial 1-888-344-1170. We're going to get you. So, Michelle, can you go ahead and introduce the title of the show, purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely great guest?
Most definitely. So the title of today's show is How to Mend a Fractured Relationship Between a Parent and Their Child. We're having a sit-down conversation with Dr. Balin A. Durr. She's a board-certified psychiatrist with more than 20 years of experience in child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry. She's going to discuss what is the source of the fracture and disconnect, how do you mend the relationship, and accepting your responsibility for the condition of the relationship. Again, Dr. Balin, she has provided care largely to the vulnerable, uninsured, and unserved in a variety of clinical settings. She had a groundbreaking role in providing telepsychiatry services for almost a decade and provided lectures to medical providers and taught students in physician assistant and nurse practitioner programs. Dr. Balin A. Durr was selected as top executive producer and psychiatrist of the year 2024 by the International Association of Top Professionals for outstanding leadership, dedication, and commitment to the industry. She is the executive producer and host of Dr. Durr's Living in the Sweet Spot, and she also released a podcast on addiction, depression, and suicide titled Today's Mental Health. She's a poet and an author of Heaven Abounds in You, The Journey to Joy. So there's so much to know about her. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Balin A. Durr.
How you doing, Doc?
Oh, I'm doing great. And, thank you so much for giving that wonderful introduction, Dr. Michelle and Dr. JC.
We can barely hear you. We can barely hear you.
Really?
Now I can hear you now.
Okay.
So
I was just saying, thank Dr. Michelle so very much for that wonderful introduction, and then also, thank you, Dr. J, for that tremendous belief in me, and then that's saying that you think I know a little bit of something about everything. It's not true.
So, Dr. Balin, you've been on the show quite a few times, and every time that you're on, I can feel the enthusiasm and excitement because you love what you do.
Yes.
Can you tell our viewers and our listeners, what do you love about the field of psychiatry?
Simply put, that the brain is everything, both in terms of
Dr. Balin, Dr. Balin, you're breaking up.
Hear you.
That's perfect.
Okay. Simply put, the brain is everything, both in terms of how the functions and rates, but also the thoughts that and those determine how we a life gonna live, how well we're gonna live. And for me, it comes from, my motivation really comes from being a child myself, trying to make sense of that, my childhood, the trauma, the abuse, but also the wonderfulness.
Dr. Balin, it sounds like there's an echo on your side. Okay.
That should take care of it, right? So it's again, the motivation comes from a place of me trying to make sense of my own childhood, the great about it, but juxtaposed or in opposition to the childhood physical abuse that I suffered, some of it severe, and understanding that those wounded difficulties we have, if we can, the sooner we heal that, the earlier we do that, then the earlier that we're able to make a change in the trajectories, and to improve the trajectory of our lives.
Wow. So and when we go to the break, you might want to log out and log back in because it's a lot of static right there. But oh yeah, everything that you just said is absolutely fantastic. And in the field of psychiatrists, you know about that. I don't. But as a parent, I know that there are sometimes wages or where between father and their kid or mother and their kid. Let's talk about that a little bit. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
So the difficulty come in that relationship because, one, I think we don't know each other, right? I don't really know who you are as a parent and child, and you don't really know who I am as a person or as a child. One, we come to the relationships with a belief or family about who the person is or who they should be, and we interact with them based on that. And so the problem with that is then sometimes those beliefs about who I think you are, who you are not actually the truth. And because I don't make the effort to actually get to you and what your experiences of what your what tool you have to have the relationship with me, whether you're the parent or the child, what your family history was, your patterns, how you learn to use those. Then I'm operating with, interacting with you in relationship based upon expectations of who you should be and what you should do, and you may not be that, and you may not that.
So you breaking up right there, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna pick it up, but if you can, you might want to log out, log back in, because we got to get that problem taken care of. So I tell you, we got a lot more Dr. Balin coming your way, and if you want to be part of the conversation, just go to the platform that you're watching this on, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life, and we'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
A black man's
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Get it?
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, hopefully we got those technical difficulties taken care of. You know, it's because it's so much information that Dr. Durr is going to share with us, and I think that we need to know all that. So, I'll tell you, if you want to be part of the conversation, whichever platform that you're watching us on, just go to that platform, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. So I'll pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170.
Dr. Durr, so the topic is how to mend a fractured relationship between a parent and a child. Why is this important to discuss, and why did you want to discuss this particular topic today?
No,
Dr. Durr, we cannot hear you.
We cannot hear you.
One, because there are so many people that are having problems.
Okay.
This with families.
Hey, Doc, we can't hear you at all.
Maybe the computer. Just I think I would recommend just if you're not just using the computer for the audio, unless you're using something else, but the computer itself is fine.
Michelle and I are going to talk a couple of minutes and give you an opportunity to work on that one, because we can't hear you. Yes, so.
I think this topic is very important because, you know, a lot of people, they do have conflict or fractured relationship with their parent, or the parent has it with them. Sometimes it's repairable, sometimes it's irreparable, but I think the conversation today is about trying to mend that fractured relationship. You know, it can be, you know, mother, son and daughter. It could be the father, daughter, son. It could just, you know, parent and child relationship, period. So, you know, there are not a lot of people. I mean, I am fortunate to have, you know, great relationships with both of my parents, but and vice versa. But there are people out there who do not. What is your thoughts on this topic, James?
Well, it is. I mean, it's just that case in point. And I use myself as an example. Sometimes, you know, your kids or you have a disagreement, and I wouldn't say that it's tough, but sometimes I think the kids feel that they know more than what you do, and they want to take a little break from you and not share what's on their mind. And it could be vice versa from a parent perspective as well. You know, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, and I know Dr. Balin was also going to discuss this as part of the show. Sometimes you need a third party. Sometimes, you know, family or close friends try to, you know, mediate, you know, the conflict, but sometimes an unbiased, objective third party is necessary, you know, like a therapist, you know, family counselor. So I definitely think that's important. Hi, Dr. Balin.
Hey there, you know what excites me so much is just how life is. Things happen, go sideways, and you got to be adaptable and learn how to roll with it.
Oh, exactly. So James and I were talking about this topic at hand. So let's kind of start, like, why is it
important? The question before about why it's so basically and fundamentally, it's because of the fact that how, number one, I find it so pervasive. There's so many families that are having this difficult between the parent and the child. Again, whether we're talking about a younger child, an adolescent, or a mature, you know, adult children, whether they're 40s, 50s, 60s, or however. And the truth of the matter is how we learn to have relationships based upon our family unit. They set up and teach us how to communicate, how do we think about the other person, what we're supposed to do in our lives, what we're supposed to pursue. And the truth of the matter is, all of us just really want to be loved and accepted. And when there's a lot of judgment and criticism and unacceptance, then that pattern, the person tends to kind of take that on for themselves, and judging and criticizing themselves, not accepting, and then they tend to do it with other people. So this repeated cycle and multiple generations of fractured relationships.
Most definitely. So, every child is different. So sometimes parents let's say they have multiple children, and some children are just like them, and sometimes you may or may not butt heads. It really depends on the relationship. So how does differences in communication styles and lack of open dialogue contribute to misunderstandings and potentially a fracture in the relationship between a parent and a child?
So I think though, really at the core of the fracture is, again, what I was saying earlier. Not sure how well I could be heard, but fundamentally what I mean is this, is that I think most of us, we don't know each other. We don't know who you are as a parent. We don't know your history. We don't know your experience. We don't know your difficulties and your traumas. And the same thing is for the child. Know the child. They don't know their thoughts, their hopes, their dreams, but also their challenges and their struggles, right? They don't know that their kid bullied. They don't know that their kids are using drugs, that their kids are hexed, that their kids are feeling depressed, or is until things get really, really difficult. And also, if I don't know you, then and operating from a place, which a lot of times do, from a place of my fantasy of who you are, who I want you to be, then I mean the reality of who you are and what you want and why you're here, what your soul is, for what you're here to do. Then I'm trying to impose that upon you, and then of course creates conflict and it creates disconnection, and that can be true both the child doing it to the parent doing it to the child.
Well, I'm going to bring Dr. Cooley back on, but Dr. Balin, we want you, we still hear an echo. So we want you to call into the radio station, and that number is on the private chat. I think maybe the sound, and because we still hear an echo.
Yeah, is that better?
Can you say something?
In terms
No. So look at the chat and contact the radio station. We're going to put you backstage just for a little bit, and we're going to comment on what you just stated.
Yeah. So this is she was right on everything she said. Especially when it comes to conflicts and how some people deal with that, and it's kind of tough.
Yeah,
especially because you love your kid love you, but it's a lack of communication, or in some cases kind of bullheaded, and a difference in opinion, and no one wants to give.
And you know what about unrealistic expectations? I mean, every parent, let's put it that way. Every parent would love for their children, daughter, son, to kind of be like them. And they might be like them in certain ways, but sometimes, and this could be not for all parents, but sometimes parents are putting their expectations onto possibly onto their children, but they have to realize that children are individuals and they are unique and they have their own opinion. And I think Dr. Balin is back. Hi.
Hey there.
Hey.
That's better.
Awesome. Glad we got that resolved.
So Dr. Balin, we were talking about unrealistic expectations that parents put on their children. And sometimes it could be vice versa. Sometimes children forget their parents are human. They're human beings. They do make mistakes. So, they might idolize their parents.
No. That never happens.
So it can go both ways. Unrealistic expectation towards the children, unrealistic expectation towards the parent. how do they overcome the unrealistic expectations?
So again, I think it has a lot to do with getting to know who each of us is as an individual, as a spiritual being, depending upon your reference. And part of that means if I'm the child, seeing you just beyond the role of parent, because if you think about it, being a parent is really not much different than any other job. The truth of the matter, though, is, or any other profession, the truth of the matter, though, as a medical doctor who's been specialized in psychiatry, I had 4 years of college. Medical school is 4 years. Then I did a residency and fellowship that were 5 years. Plus, I also did some pediatrics as another 9 months, so almost 6 years of training. So we're talking about four, and you're talking about more than 15 years of education and training and experience. And it's like 13, 14 years. So as parents, the only requirement to have kids is only one thing, right? That's having sex. That's it. But the requirement to raise children well goes far beyond that in terms of skill set and abilities. And many of us don't have those skill set and abilities, and many of us don't acquire them. So one, we have, as a child, however old you are, it's important to see your parent as a person, as a human being, as a spiritual being, not in the role of parent only. So again, do you know how your parent grew up, what their childhood experiences were like, what their wounds and their trauma were like? What are their tools to be able to parent you? And then adjust your expectations so that it's in keeping with what their abilities are. Now, when it comes to the kids, in terms of the parents, our children do not belong to us. And unfortunately, there's a tendency to believe that they do. Historically, children were property. But and because of that, and that sense of ownership and that sense of, responsibility, one, not every parent loves their child. Let's tell the truth. Not every person who's having sex wants to become a parent, but that can be the outcome of that act. So they don't want the parent role and responsibility. They don't want the child. That, of course, is going to create disconnection.
Hold that thought right there. I want to pick it up. We got to take a station break. And when we come back, we're going to pick it up from there, especially like you mentioned something about not loving something a lot of parents don't love their kids. I want to expand on that one a little bit because that's a tough one. But if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Country boy, city boy, a journey that...
We live in a world today that people don't even care about how people see them. Don't realize that we can affect an entire generation and build our character. But you gotta do it with these 4 C's. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. It's the 4 C's. It's the 4 C's. Life you are gonna grow, but there's things in this world that you gotta know. To be the best that you can be, you wanna grow real big into a strong tree. To be who you were created to be, the one who's gonna leave a legacy is you. But you got to have these 4 C's.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. Hey, Todd, man, I thought we was in the party, man. I'm over here jamming.
That is a good jam.
Oh man, it is, man. And this is an exciting conversation because Dr. Durr mentioned something that that a lot of parents probably don't really. They love the kids, but they don't show love, and the kids a lot of times just want to be able to do things themselves without any parental guidance, and that creates a big wedge between parent and child. And I want you to pick it up there, Dr. Balin, with what you were talking about. Hey, we can't hear you. Are you still on the phone?
Okay. How about that?
Okay.
So what I was saying was the fact that, one, I think it's important to acknowledge that not all children are wanted. The other thing too, though, is so then what is the parents' tools and the skill sets that they have learned how to parent, and seeing the parent realistically based upon the reality and not the fantasy of who we want as a parent. Then for the parent dealing with a child, they are their own unique soul signature, their own spirit, their own being. And again, if we want to relate to each other authentically, we need to see and accept each other for who we are. Accept your child for who they are, not who you desire and dream for them to be. And it's only when you do that that you can have an authentic relationship. You also alluded to the fact about control. Like I said, that, James, we grew up and you're talking about, you better act right, you better dress right, because that's a reflection upon me. And I'm not going to have you embarrassing me. Right? Does that sound familiar?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember my mother and grandmother told me, don't come down to my job dressed any kind of way and embarrassing me, right? that kind of stuff. And inherent in that, there's also a sense that parents think that they control their children. And what I remind people is that even as an infant, did anybody control when you peed, pooped, or slept? The answer is no. So there's this illusion of control that in reality does not exist. We can influence, we can coerce, we can manipulate, we can threaten, but ultimately it's each person's decision how they choose to act and behave. And so one of the things that's important for us to do as parents is to say, let me get to know who this child is. What's unique and wonderful about them, and then adapt my parenting approach, including how I communicate to this particular unique individual, spirit and being, because each child is different, just like each adult is different, and you can't interact and deal with them in the same way in terms of maximizing in terms of maximizing the relationship and the interaction. It's just like this. I say, you know what? I got different clothes for different outfits for different occasions, right? I don't wear the same outfit to every occasion because it doesn't work. It's not consistent with what's appropriate and what's needed. So that's the thing. Some kids are really adaptable and strong and courageous and outspoken and interactive, and other kids are more quiet and shy and retiring. And some kids want to conquer the world and do great things, and other kids they say, I just want to make a living, I just want to be happy doing this, I just want to serve, and as long as I can pay my bills, I don't need to make a lot of money. So it's important to adapt our approaches and interactions. Again, am I having a genuine, authentic interaction with you based upon knowing who you genuinely are and accepting that reality, and not judging it and saying, this ain't okay, this ain't acceptable.
Wow. So you brought up a lot of good points in there. But Dr. Durr, how do cultural differences and generational gap between parents and children influence their values, their beliefs, behavior, and potentially causing discord?
Well, you know what? Many years ago, I heard Marianne Williamson say that, the older generation knows more about that which stays the same, and the younger generation knows more about that which changes. And what she meant by that is the older generation knows things more about, things like values and standards and wisdom, that those things which don't change. Whereas younger people tend to know more about, hey, what's the latest technology? What's the latest music? What's the latest dance? What's the latest fashion? And so again, there can be a disconnect when, especially, you know how some of the older folks tend to go, that ain't all right. I don't like your hair is too long, or your hair, the way you dress isn't okay, or what's that strange music? So those I'm telling the truth. So again, there's this, if there's judgment and criticism and a lack of value and understanding and value for the other and their strengths, then again, that contributes to conflict and disconnect.
So you're right. How do unresolved personal traumas and historical, how you got an uncle, somebody in the family or whatever, so historical family issues affect the dynamics of the parent and child relationship, perpetrating cycles of dysfunction and alienations?
So we all get a blueprint, right, from our families about who we are and what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to build life and how we're supposed to build a life. And for many of us, that blueprint is unconscious, meaning we're not aware of it. And, I've said this to you before, some of us get a blueprint for a mansion, some get a blueprint for a 3,000 square foot house, some 1,500, some get one for a garage, and some get a blueprint for an outhouse. And those blueprints, again, teach us about who we are, what the society and the world is around us, and how we're supposed to live and operate in it, how we see other people and their value, and how we interact with them, what's okay to do and what's not okay to do. And so, the research shows that 70% of people have had trauma to some degree. And when we are unaware of our blueprints, including those wounds, what we do is repeat them, because we don't, well, here's the thing, we really don't understand about our children and about us. Everybody in a relationship, number one, is a mirror of me. They reflect me back to me. some things, and especially some things I don't want to see. And so relationships, all of them are mirrors. And also in each relationship, each person is both a teacher and a student. So if you understand that the people in your lives, including your children, show up, and your parents, they show up so you can see you. And so you can say, well, what things do I need to heal? Because my emotional wounds and the triggers to those wounds, those are mine. What things am I doing well? And what things do I need to develop and improve upon? So the importance of that is to look at my own wounds and find out where my own healing needs to occur, and then do my own work. And that's the significance. And a lot of times, again, because parents think, I'm the adult, I'm grown, I get to do what I want to do, and you the kid, be quiet, you ain't running this. Then they don't take the time. Come on, keeping it real.
Right. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Especially that you ain't running it. We're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back because everything that you're touching on is so true, and they need to be talked about. And I'm talking about the parent and the child. And so I tell you what, if you want to be part of this conversation, not too late. Just go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any questions that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
There's much truth in a journey that ain't over.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be on it, to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z, and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
And enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. You know, I feel like jamming right now. I tell you, feel like jamming. But we are.
Yeah, just don't hurt yourself.
We are jamming in a different way because we're listening to this great doctor share some of the knowledge that she has. Some experiences that she did with kids and probably with her own kids as well. I know I got 4 kids, and I know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to a lot of the things that you're talking about. So, yeah. Michelle, you said you had a question. You got it.
Yes, Dr. Balin. So, accountability and pride, sometimes it may go hand in hand, either side, child, parent. And I guess the question is, how important is it for both sides to accept responsibility for their part in the fractured relationship? And subset A for that question is, why is it hard for them, either one of them, to admit it, and they let their pride get in the way as far as saying, you know what, I was wrong. I'm accepting my part in the fractured relationship.
So it's a couple things. Number one, we're often focused on what you did, what you did wrong. And again, so it's important to be willing to, even in the very beginning, come from a place not of judgment and criticism, but from a place of being willing to say what works and what doesn't work. And pride actually is coming from a place of fear. And that's why they tell you not to be prideful, because in that place of fear, I can't hear then when you say to me that I've done something to you that was harmful, or and whether that was something that I actually did, or in my absence and not being there for you and doing and fulfilling a responsibility I should have fulfilled as a parent and or a child or as a family member. So if I'm so prideful, i.e. fearful, that when I hear something negative, then for me, it brings on this sense of shame and guilt, and that I'm a problem and unredeemable and all that kind of, I call it the squirrel madness that goes on in our heads. Then it can be difficult for me, and I'm unwilling to then say, okay, let me hear this and let me take ownership of what I did or what I didn't do. And then I'm so busy trying to protect myself from that pain of hearing that I absolutely can't mend what I've done or take ownership for it. I can't say, I'm so sorry that I harmed you in that way. Please forgive me, because I'm so fearful and bound up in that, shame or guilt and fear that I can't do it. So the important thing to do is not to focus on the other person. And first of all, have the intention that I'm here to heal this. And what can I do to make that happen? And taking that, having that intention and coming from that place, again, saying, if I did something wrong, then what I did is not who I am. So I'm not wrong, i.e. shame, versus I did something that didn't work or that harmed somebody. And how can I repair that going forward? And again, so I can't be focused on what Dr. Michelle did, right?
Mhm.
I need to focus on what Dr. Dr. Durr did. And even though I cannot go back and undo that, I tell people, when you really, and I'm not, you can certainly share with somebody saying you harmed me in this way, but you cannot undo the past. It's just done.
Mhm.
And so if you go back and saying this should have happened, really what you're saying is you like a collection agency trying to collect on an old debt. You need to write that sucker off, because it's uncollectible.
Well,
And what can we do from this point going forward to heal this? And a lot of times, again, that begins with having the intention to heal it. What can I do to make that happen? Because that's really what responsibility is. What can I do to help this and to make it better? And then again, from that place of unconditional love, I love you for who you are. I ain't necessarily crazy about what you did, and what you did harm me,
but I still love you. And how do we repair this going forward? You know, I use the example, let me just say, I use the example like when a kid got adopted, you cannot go back and reclaim your childhood with that biological parent who wasn't there all those years, but you can build a relationship from this moment going forward.
I got a quick question for you, and I know we're pressed for time, about 5 minutes before the show ends. Outside counseling, therapy, you know, we've talked about this on the show where a lot of minorities do not believe in therapy. And that can honestly, what is your thoughts on seeking outside counseling, a family counselor to mend the relationship? But how important is it to be open-minded and not look at therapy as, oh, I don't want people knowing my business, or, you know, I can handle this on my own, or I don't want, you know how it's been taught through a lot of minority communities.
Right. So one, I think it's important to acknowledge the historical harm that African-American people, certainly, but other people of color, but African-American people in particular, have experienced at the hands of the medical profession in this country. And so we've been experimented on, we've been lied to, we've been judged as being, you know, inhuman, and all of that has been done in the medical community. So I think it's important to acknowledge that truth and why that is a barrier to us seeking help. Number two, I think it's important to also, I say it like this: nobody knows everything, including me, despite my many years of training and education. And if your roof leaks, you get a roofer. If your plumbing backs up and you can't plunge it, and you got to call a plumber. And so to think of therapy or any other medical provider as someone who has training, education, and tools that you don't have, and that they are there to help you utilize those tools for you to heal your wounds and make your lives better, for you to form a relationship with yourself that's healthy, so that you can then form a relationship with other folks that are healthy, and so that you can stop living out of the memories of your past and projecting that onto other people, and so you can see who they are, their authentic, genuine selves. The community, the therapy community, is there to help you. Like if you broke a leg, you go see the surgeon, you might have to get physical therapy, all of those things that you might have to do. That's the purpose of therapy, is to help you heal yourself, because you don't know how to do it.
Wow.
And it's your business. It is your business. But if you don't know how to heal your business, you're going to stay stuck in your business, recreating the same harmful experiences over and over again, and feeling the emotional pain and the wounds that you don't want to feel. So if you don't want that, then get some help. And it's okay. It says nothing about your character. It says nothing about that you are lesser than, that you are, weak, that you stupid, that you're any of those things. It means you don't know how to do it, and it's okay to get help.
There's nothing wrong with getting help, and thanks for making that point, because a lot of people that's probably listening, they need some help, So I tell you what, we're out of time, but I want to thank you so much for taking time to come on the show again, and you're gonna be on quite regularly, because you always bring great topics. I want to thank Toddy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Todd at KCB Crew for great producer, exec producer, Dr. Michelle Cooley, for putting together another absolutely great show. Most important, our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, same place. And always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow.
Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James JC Cooley.